Welcome to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. This is the third attempt to make this video. The strangest of things have happened to stop me in sharing this truth. Now, you could look at it another way and you could say this is how the spiritual community work. They use certain things to their advantage. So somebody could say, well, maybe they're trying to stop you because you're speaking evil. So it's a no-win situation. But it's funny how three things have happened in the past hour that has stopped me from communicating. Now it's doing it again. Here we go again. Oh, okay. Things are just going crazy. I can't explain why. It's not just on the camera, it's everything else. So what are we talking about? Why is this topic so important that I believe they're trying to stop us from sharing it? Because this morning I meditated, and when I was meditating, I was asking Spirit in the spirit world to come forward and give me more information and memory of certain things that happened to me as a full-time healer with clients in front of me. I had a conversation this morning with a dear friend who we were chatting, and I explained one of the things that once happened to me, and it happened more than once. But what happened was I was sat with a client and I placed my hands over hers and I started to attune to her husband in spirit. And I talked for over an hour. And there were so many things that I talked about over his lifetime, being with her and their two children, and explained I can see two girls and and carried on. And she was very quiet and she just listened all the way through. And there were certain things that he regretted and wished he could have changed. And he explained all the things to try and make her understand how much he loved her. When I finished, she said that was interesting. And when anybody says interesting, that's interesting. And she said, yes, I have two children. And yes, my husband is exactly like this. The only one problem is that he's still in this world. Now, I was very new at this. It was only about 2 or 3 years in from my work. So I was taken aback and I said, I was shaking my head and I'm saying, I'm so sorry. You know, it felt like he was in the spirit world. I didn't try and justify myself. I just told her the truth. It felt like he was in the spirit world and, I am sorry. And I actually didn't charge the lady. And she walked out. And I went to the park and I sat down and, you're these doubts when you first start doing this work. And I'm sat there thinking, why am I doing this? If I can't attune to it, if I can't get it 100% right, what's the point of all of this? Why can't I attune perfectly to it? Why am I getting things wrong all the time? And I was at the beginning. I was getting things, or so I thought. Or so I thought. Anyway, about a few hours went by and I got a phone call. It could have been a few hours, it could have been an hour, I don't know, but I got a message. And of course, you probably figured out already, she got home and her husband had passed away in the armchair. Two things about this message today I want to share with you. And one is that there's a spiritual community out there who believe, and that's fine, that's their belief. Everybody has a belief. Belief should be through experience, in my opinion, but if you read something and believe it, that's fine. That when the spirit leaves the body, when you pass, basically the spirit actually stays. It stays for, some people say 2 days, 3 days. Some people, it's so mixed in understanding of this. The spirit never leaves. Why is it that at that moment of the lady sitting down, the husband moved into the spirit world and was able to come to me and share all this information? That is something you have to think about, and I pondered on. And the only logical explanation, if you put logic to this, lots of people won't, but Occam's razor, when you look at all aspects of what if and what it could be, it's normally the most simplest answer, which is he was there and he moved from his body into the room and gave me information. And just so you know, through that hour, he was next to me and I could feel him. And he was next to her and he was holding her, and I could even see his hand being put onto sometimes the left or right hand side. And it's funny because she said I could feel warmth where you were saying his hands were. That's very normal as well. But then you can get the spiritual community and they can say, oh, well, his energy could have come there, but he was still trapped in the body. So you can't win. There's no win in this. There's always another explanation. But my explanation is my truth, what I've seen through experience, not through books, not through people's writings, and I don't buy into that, other than it feels right, but it doesn't make it right if it's felt right. It's normally a good indication, but sometimes if it feels right, it appeases the soul, it appeases the mind, mainly the mind. Okay, that feels right, so I feel better and feel comfortable with it. But there's nothing to touch experience, nothing. So I speak to you through experience. Now, why am I talking about this? Because there's a growing number of people sharing the fact that when we pass from this physical spacesuit into another dimension, that there is a trap. And this trap is to do with the light. And many people are now saying that the light is a trap. What staggers me and baffles me is in those moments when people move into the light and they're with me and they're sharing their truth about the love of a partner. Wouldn't you think the first thing they would say is that, hey, my beautiful, whatever you do, don't walk into the light, it's a trap? Wouldn't you think they would say that? And walking into the light, whenever I have been with people who were ready to move into the light, they might have cancer, I might be at the hospital and they're moving. Why is it that when they come through, the conversation, the feeling is of love and peace and harmony and an awareness that can't be explained? Why isn't the first thing they say is I'm trapped? Now the spiritual community can say, well, because they don't know. Okay, so let me get this right. Everything that we've ever talked about in the spiritual world is that the one thing we know that is pure, all seeing, all feeling, all understanding, all connecting, all that is and ever will be. Now you're telling me that you can trap that soul because it's no longer all seeing, all feeling, all hearing, all knowing. So when you move from this body, all of a sudden you're trapped when you walk into the light. The soul that is meant to be all is, ever will be, and ever is. So now we've gone on from everything is inside, everything that we need is inside, everything that we know is inside, to, oh, by the way, that's actually not true. Actually, we can fool that instantly, and we can make you go into the light, and then you're going to go into the dark. Okay, so you're going into the light to go into the dark. How do you manage that then, mate? Explain how going into the light. Yeah, it's a tough one for me to grasp, but thanks for that. I'll ponder on it. Surely, I'll ponder on it. Moving into the light is why the light is there. Moving into the dark, well, you reject that and you actually do go somewhere. And it's not, I hate the word trap. I really hate the word trap. But I would rather call it denial. So you call it what you want, but I call it a denial. And what that means is, and this is what I've seen, when we are confronted with the moment of transition, and I've seen it with clients as they're moving into the light, and I hear it all the time, they call out for their family and they speak to their family. It's such a common occurrence, it's unreal. Please, if you are a nurse, tell me if I'm wrong. A lot of people say, they're just losing their mind, they're going into this and that. Okay, can't argue with you there, because I can't argue with science. It's forget it. But I'm seeing my family the day before, the 2 days before, and I'm saying, yeah, they're coming to be with you. They're coming to show their love and to help you transition. Why isn't it that all the times that my clients who are moving into the light, why didn't they say, they've just told me that not to go into the light. They've just said that it's a trap. Okay, so you're telling me that spirit who comes forward doesn't know that they're in a trap. So what hope is there for anything? Where do you go? Oh, well, I won't go into the light. Well, where would you go, mate? Well, I won't go into the light. Yeah, but where would you go? Well, I won't go into the light, which means that you're not going home. So which means that now you're going into the dark. Well, it's better going into the dark. It's probably the light, or it is the light. Well, let me just try and explain something. As somebody who's worked with people who have transitioned, and I've seen this and I've connected and communicated. So let me explain. The moment of transition is a moment when we feel the urge to move into love, because that's what it is. It's love. It's not a trap. It's love. It is our connection. It's a magnet to be pulled home. Your spirit is pulled towards it. However, at that moment, everything flies in front of us. 1,000 million images of everything that you've done in this particular lifetime. As we see every action, reaction, we judge ourselves. There isn't a God to judge us, because we are all one with the everlasting everything that ever is and ever will be. So we are part of the ocean. So you can't separate us unless you take a single drop from the ocean. And that's your spirit. That's who you are. But you're part of a oneness. So this oneness wants to go back now, because the spacesuit is no longer able to hold us in there or carry us or be part of this beautiful combination of partnership. So all of these images are flying, and I've seen this while I'm with my client, placing my hands on them, and they're saying to me, Mark, I'm seeing loads of images. I can see them, feeling them, and I can see their eyes rolling and flying about. So they're seeing images. This is where I get this explanation from. Not one, not two, loads. So they're seeing these images, and they're now listening in their heart, not their mind. Their heart is connecting to the images. And they're at that point where they're seeing all their life. And there is something in this where when you're healing somebody as they're moving into the light, we're forgiving ourselves and forgiving everything that we've been through, because we're starting to realize that that was the journey. So everything that we've been through was a test. And how did I do in my test? Because you judge yourself, nobody else. And when you judge yourself from love, you judge yourself for how it feels. So you might think, oh, I wish I'd never done that. Oh, I wish I'd have done that. And some people who lived a life of nothing but anger, pain, hate, suffering, killing, doing the worst possible things. They fear the light. They fear it because it's like, and I've said this so many times, it's like going to the front door of your house when you were a little kid with a note from your teacher because you did something wrong that day. You know that when you walk through that door, you know your parents are going to have a go at you. Well, we've been programmed in this world. It makes sense. Think about it. That you are, as a child, a sinner. You'll always be a sinner. And the religion made it that way and said that you're going to be punished in hell. You're going to go down to hell and you're going to burn in flames for the rest of your entire existence. But God loves you. So that feeling of, okay, I'm seeing all these images. I've done maybe some terrible things that I regret. And in my mind's saying, I'm going to hell, or I'm in big trouble. So instead of going into the light, they reject the light. So you might say you reject it, which means you go into darkness. Well, you just reject it. And there's a middle place. So from you leaving the body to go through here to get to here, you go through. And if you don't go through this feeling of, I judge myself, I look at myself and see, and I accept everything, and I go into the light, no matter what the feeling is, then if you don't go into the light, you end up in this kind of world within a world. So your spirit is your spirit, and your spirit always lives forever. But you have the memory of all the actions that you created. So your spirit holds on to all those memories at that particular place. People ask me, what do you hold on to when you move into the light? You don't hold on to anything, because everything is all revealed. But you need to go into the light to be revealed, and that revelation is simple. When people come from the spirit world to connect to me, it's with love. It's with the greatest healing, and I see nothing of being tricked. I have heard nothing of it being a trap, ever. It's just when you feel spirit around you and you're doing a healing session and they've come from the spirit world into our world through you, the healing is so powerful. You couldn't even try to make words of understanding and feeling, because it's so powerful. We are so limited to understanding the power of spirit and the spirit world. So at that point where we are frightened to go into the light, we end up in a kind of middle place. And that place is where you hear sounds and you see ghosts, and things happen that sometimes a little bit scary, and sometimes things fall and crack and mirrors smash, taps go on, and strange things happen in the house or in a field. It can be anywhere. Oh, why is it always in a house? Why is it in a field? Plenty of times in a field. Read my book. So many things happen all over the world in many different places. Just because there's four walls around you doesn't make any difference. Spirit can still be anywhere and trapped. That's why there's countless memoirs, true stories of people's experiences of picking somebody up. There's one in Halifax where one man was picked up all the time by people and taxi drivers and then dropped off, and there was nobody in the car, so they got in, and when they came to drop them, talked to them, and then when they came to drop them off, they disappeared. That's because they are still in part physical. They still have that memory of the physical, and it can still manifest as a physical. It's a strange concept. It's hard to grasp, but it's true. It can be manifested still. So it's not fully released its energy. So that energy is dense. That energy can change and shift and show itself in different ways. That's why ghosts often walk down the stairs at a certain time, because they keep that memory, that same memory. I talk about this and go into detail. What I share with you is snippets of information, but I go into detail on all my 1700 videos on here. So I don't leave you with a gap of not knowing and understanding. I try and fill everything into the greatest of my knowledge through my experience. So going back to that spirit that now refused to go into the light because of fear of repercussions, because of what religion have taught them. Makes sense, right? That's why religion is very clever. It knows exactly how to trap spirit. That is trap. That is spirit in denial. That is spirit that can't move forward. And what I did, I hate the word trap, but what I did, because the trap isn't really a trap. The trap is the fact that you didn't want to go into the light, so you have to go somewhere, right? Where are you going to go? Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. So I get a call, so I go into a house or wherever it is, and I sit down and I communicate with that spirit. Now, people said to me, do workshops on this. Well, you know, me doing a workshop on that would be like saying, learn how to read tarot cards, learn how to communicate with spirit, work on your psychic abilities, your clairvoyant, clairaudient, same thing. Because I sit down and feel the spirit in the room and talk to spirit in denial. Denial meaning that denial, or there's lots of words I use for spirit in between the two worlds, okay? But as I try and communicate to them, I try and help them move forward as I would do somebody sat with me who's heartbroken, who's just lost a family member, or somebody who's done something that they wish they hadn't have done. Same thing. I'm still speaking to a spirit. Remember, it's not the spacesuit, it's the spirit, and the spirit never dies. So I'm speaking to the spirit. It doesn't matter whether it's got a spacesuit or whether it's got this energy around them, which means that they're in between two worlds. They're in denial. They're in denial. They I don't know what to. So you end up speaking to them. You end up trying to communicate to them. And once that communication takes place, sometimes they don't even listen. But when they do, and that communication takes place, then you can start to have a conversation and try to help them and say everything's fine. And when you move into the light, you'll be fine. There is no pain, there is no suffering, there's no hell, there's no judgment. All there is experience. And all I've ever had throughout the time that I've spoken to Spirit, when they've been blessed with whispering to me and helping me to help connect to certain things that are important in life, that help us in life as far as our path allows, because they can't tell us everything, because they've got to only give us certain snippets of information. That's why sometimes it's hard to get a full story. But sometimes if you're sat with me, you can get a real full story and you'll go, oh my God, that was amazing. Like, you don't pull no punches. You went all the way. You even said names. You said numbers. You said dates. You said this and that. Yeah, because sometimes it can flow very easily and sometimes it can be a challenge. So where I'm coming to is that why is it that Spirit, trapped in between two worlds, then move forward into the light and then disappear, and then they're fine, and then a week later, a day later, I can connect to the same Spirit who then is in the spirit world, not in the house anymore, but then they're a different person, they're a different soul, they're a different energy, they're light, they're filled with love. There was one it doesn't matter anyway, I can go on about this for all day, but suffice to say that if we are all and ever will be in everything, and we are all seeing and we are all connected to the God energy, to the highest energy, then how is it that we can be so duped and fooled to keep coming back? And the other question is this: at the very beginning of everything, you are in this place that people are calling, I don't know what they're calling it now, because obviously it's not the spirit world. So what do you call it? You call it something, I don't know, magical. It's something as where it's all created from. Surely, if you come from where it's all created from, then wouldn't you already know what the pitfalls are and what could happen? And wouldn't you be able to guide yourself out of anything at any given moment? It's all an open conversation, but it's a strange one for me, and it never feels quite right when people say we're trapped in the spirit world. It's never resonated. When somebody said to me, "Oh, don't go into the light," it's never resonated to me at all, because everything that is in this world is the light, and everything that is in this world is dark, yin and yang. Why is it that when the light is here, we get life, everything comes alive, plants open, we feed from that light. That light is everything that we are. But then when darkness comes, we certainly go home and lock the doors, because a lot of dark things happen. A lot of criminals come out and all the bad things seem to happen, and the flowers close and everybody just goes into this state where we're waiting for the light of love and healing to come out. It makes no sense to me at all that you would want to walk into a dark place or reject a light. It makes no sense other than somebody's notion or somebody's idea of that being wise and truthful. But I see no proof. And over the 20 years that I've worked with clients, lying down, going through the process of healing, going through the process of connecting to the spirit world, connecting to their loved ones or not, because at the end of the day, when we come back, because we do often ask to come back. Why? Because it's a test. It's what we set out on the game board. Here's the game board, let's draw it. I'm going to go there now, I'm going to feel pain here. Okay, that's why pain is inevitable and suffering is optional. So I have to learn how to heal myself from the pain, and the quicker I heal, the more I grow and the more I experience. And I have to go through this, and I might have to break my leg, and I might have to do that. Why? I have to feel this, I have to go through that, because I created that. And I look on that board at the end of it and see all those photographs of those moments, and I can see how I've done. So it's an experience. Why do you go through that? Because I believe when we're in the spirit world, we are all one. It's all one energy, and we heighten that energy all the time. So an experience in this world, which we don't get in the spirit world, because the spirit world is all love. It's pure. It's all as it's meant to be. It's all divine. There's no words for it. It's just beautiful. I mean, if you got the most beautiful paradise and created colours that you could never even imagine, and you could feel something so beautiful inside you that you've never felt before without any fear or worry, times that by 1,000,000, and that's how it feels when spirit comes into my energy. It's incredible. So, and that's life in the spirit world. So I've spent many years helping people trapped in between two worlds move into the spirit world. Some I couldn't do it, and then I would use sage to cleanse the house, and then that soul would disappear from here. Where it went, I don't know, and I still don't know to this day, because I never really felt that spirit connected to me. I didn't know who it was. It was so angry, or it was just didn't want to know. So it's very difficult then to connect with them when they've gone, because you didn't know who they were, and there's no understanding of that person or feeling them. So I don't know. It's always been a tough one for me, but it's always been a difficult one, because I want to help spirit go into the spirit world, but then I want to help my clients who have children or dogs that go crazy in the house, and they live there and they're in fear and worry. So I used to sage the house to cleanse and clear it, and it felt the right thing to do. But when people say to me, yeah, but where did they go? What do you know? And when you sage your house, does that mean that you can't get spirit world into the house? No, you can, because their energy is of pure nature, and it's just pure, so they can come forward into a saged house, because a saged house then is a purified house, cleansed house. So their energy can come down to our energy. When you sage your house, you bring it up to the energy that spirit can come in. That's why you see shamans cleansing themselves down, because they're trying to get into the same energy of the spirit world. It's a beautiful conversation. We could talk about this for hours and hours, but nothing and no one, however many books you write, could ever convince me that walking, I tell you what, when I'm ready to move into the light, you'll see me going straight there. And I don't care what people think and say. That to me is the safest place. You want to turn away from it, and yeah, I don't like saying this word, but let me tell you guys, I have helped many people which were spirit in denial, which when they decide not to walk through that door, they end up in between two worlds. And that is more worrying, when people are sending messages out saying don't walk into the light, because you're going to end up more of a world that is in more of a trap, because they've decided to reject the light and end up in a place that they're in between. And there's not that many people who actually do the work that I've done, who can sit in a room and try and help them back into the light. So that's my truth. Take what you will of this, and up till this moment, I would quite willingly die for my truth. If somebody said to me and took me and nailed me to a cross and said, take all that back and we'll let you live, I'd die for my truth. Would you? Have a great day, guys. Love you all.